About 3 months ago, I ordered myself a new pen, and I was supposed to have gotten it quite a while ago. And now, the pen that I got, it was like a rotring isograph, but it's an off-brand of it. I've never seen this pen before, or this name, or this brand, but I had ordered it about 3 months ago. So, long story short, I ordered it online, and it was supposed to have been shipped here within about 2 to 3 weeks. And the pen didn't get here until maybe 2 months later or so. And I went to the post office eventually because I got a piece of paper in the mail that said final notice, and it told me that my pen is at the post office. But they never sent me any papers before stating that it had been delivered. I got notification online that it was delivered, and so I was wondering where it was. And after about 2 months, I went to the post office and they had it there. So this here is the pen that I got. It is called the Refograph, if I'm pronouncing that right. It is from Germany, as you can see here. And this was only $11 for it. The rotring isographs, which I have right here, these usually run for about $35 to $40 each, and they work fine, but I wanted to try a different brand to see how it works compared to it. I mean, if I can get a pen that is much cheaper, but it works just as good or maybe even possibly better, then I'll go ahead and buy one of those and see how it works. So let's go ahead and open this package up and see how this pen works once we get some ink in it. And go ahead and try and do a couple of drawings with it, some doodles. See how it works with stippling, and see how it works with drawing some nice crisp lines. Let's go ahead and take a look at this, get this opened up. It's got a gold packaging. See, it's got a little gold holder on it. This box looks like it's kind of old. Looks like it's been at the factory for a while. I wonder if this is a vintage pen, like a collectible or something. I'm not really sure, but I'll have to look that up later. So let's go ahead and take a look at this here. Reform, a clip holder, isograph. This looks fairly similar to the rotring isograph, although it's shorter a little bit. And this one's black. This one's got like a burgundy color to it. And which one of these you think looks better? I think this one looks more fancy in a way because of the gold. And there is a difference in the grip on this. This has a knurling type of grip on it, whereas this one doesn't have that. And this has a number on the side, whereas this one doesn't have it. It has it on the top of it. And the rotring has it on the top as well. I think that's one of the main differences. The clips here, and the rotring is slightly shorter than the clip on the Reform. And the length of the Reform is a little bit shorter, as you can see here. Maybe not by much, by a couple millimeters. Let's go ahead and take this pen apart and see what it looks like on the inside here. Twist off perfectly fine. There's a number on the inside of the pen here, which I don't think the rotring isograph has that on the pen. Go ahead and take the cap off of that one, have a look. No, it just has on the side here. I'm going to compare the nibs, although these are two different sizes. Let's go take a look and see if there's much of a difference in the end of the pen here, if you can tell. But this has got a gold on the end here, whereas this one is not. And when I look at the length of the end of the nibs, they're pretty much the same. I don't really see much of a difference there at all. One thing I like about the Refograph is the grip on it. I think it's going to be better for me for drawing because it's got more of that knurling grip on it, and my hands won't really slip as much if I'm drawing for a long time, especially if it's hot in here like during the summer. I won't lose my grip. So go ahead and put this one back together. I really like the gold on this one. It looks very vintage. Iconic rotring isograph there. And this one here, let's see, the 0.25. And I'm really liking this color, the gold and black on it, and it really contrasts with the white. Now these do come in different colors. The other ones, they have like a red and a yellow and everything like that. I think the 0.35 Refograph is also yellow like the rotring isograph. And this one is white, colored on the end of the, where the handle is at the end here, just like the rotring isograph 0.25. So let's take this apart, see the inside of it. Let's compare this here to the rotring isograph. As you can see here, the length of the rotring isograph is a little bit longer here. Now if we compare the reservoirs, they're almost identical. I would say the rotring isograph is being a tiny bit more, maybe by a millimeter on the end. I don't know if you can see it. But yeah, there's just a small difference, maybe by about, get lined it up better, just by like a millimeter. That's about all. And go ahead and put some ink in the reform here in a second, and then we'll get this inked up, and I will start on a drawing here later, see how that goes. So here's the ink that I'm going to be putting in it. It's like an off-brand of the rotring ink, and haven't had any problems with this at all. I'll try to leave a link in the description for this ink as well. Same with the rotring isograph and this pen. So if you have any questions about it, just let me know. I'm not sure if I can find this ink by itself, because now I think you have to buy it with one of these off-brand isographs. And so you're probably better off now just buying the rotring ink because of the cost of buying the pen with ink. So let's go ahead, take a look the inside of this pen. And as you can see here, this has gold at the end of it here. It's got the 0.25, and the reservoir is about the same size as what you're getting with the rotring isograph. Maybe a little bit smaller. Take another look at the rotring isograph here. Yeah, this one doesn't have the metal ring around the reservoir right here. I'm not sure if that's going to make that much of a difference in the quality as far as how this holds up, although the extra metal ring might make a difference, but I won't know until I've used these pens for a long time. We'll just have to wait and find out then. So let me go ahead and get my ink here. I have to be careful. I don't want to spill this everywhere. I don't like to fill mine completely because if I'm not using it for a while and the ink dries out, then I don't have to worry about wasting so much of this ink. That is one thing I have learned from using my rotring isographs, is to not fill them completely, because you never know how long it's going to be until you go do another drawing. I mean, that is if you're using multiple pens like I do. I've got all kinds of pens. I have different isographs. I have different markers and pretty much different paints. Anything you think of, I've just about got it. Gonna get this cap back on. And here is the reform, all inked up and ready to do some drawing. Now let's test and see if this does any leaking or if there's any other issues that we might have with it. So here we go. I get a piece of paper, and I'm going to be using this on a cheap piece of paper. It's just a printer paper, and we'll see how much bleeding, or well, not bleeding, feathering we get with this pen. Seems to work perfectly fine. I just have to get the ink flowing a little bit better. First time using the pen, and I'm using it on really cheap paper. And when you're holding these pens, make sure you're not holding it at too much of an angle. You want to hold it more upright. And you won't have any problems with the pen as far as getting damaged or anything. Seems to work perfectly fine to me. Works with lines, it's working with stippling. Go ahead and try the rotring isograph, although I haven't used this one in about a week, so the ink might take a minute to get flowing. And when I compare these two, the rotring right here is the 0.35, so the line width is going to be different on it. The ink on this one seems to flow out a bit quicker than the other pen. Now that's probably because of the nib being a 0.35, whereas the other one's a 0.25. And that's going to be a bit of a difference in the ink flow. So not really any difference with the ink flow there on that. This all seems to be perfectly fine to me. So what do you think of the look of the pen, such as the gold on it, the whole design? And if any of you have ever owned any of these, go ahead and let me know in the comments down below what you think of this pen and how it's worked for you. And if you have any tips with anything you've had, such as problems you've had with the pen or anything I should know before I go do some long-term drawing with it. I like the design of this pen. It looks really nice. Like the gold and the black colors. It looks kind of fancy and vintage here. But I'm going to do some drawings with this one. I'll still be using my rotring isographs, but I want to get some drawings done with this and really compare and see how they look. And another reason I actually ended up getting this pen was because my rotring 0.25 wasn't drawing anymore. I cleaned the pen and did everything I could, put new ink in it, and the nib isn't bent, and for some reason it still does not draw. And that is my second 0.25. So I want to go ahead and try a different brand of the same size, see how that works. So go ahead and let me know in the comments below what you think of this pen and if you found this useful. And until then, I'm going to go ahead and work on some doodles and drawings with this pen here, and we're going to see what I can create. You have a good day, and thank you for watching. See you later.